Hello, everyone. You're welcome to our channel today. This is Family Aspects. We're going to be having an amazing time today. We have a guest here who is willing to share something amazing with us today. So, before we bring our guest in, this is what we stand for. We are actually here to help people build relationship, family, build relationship with your spouses and marriage situations, challenges that face dating, faces every form of challenges that comes that attack relationship, marriages. We're here to discuss every aspect of it and also provide some tips and advice that will help everyone to succeed in their endeavors in relationship. Um, if you are just here for the first time, do not hesitate to stay and watch the video before you can decide what to do, either to subscribe, which I will encourage you to do, or to like the video. But I always encourage people to subscribe so that you'll be able to get other informations that we have on this channel. You'll be able to get every notification. You don't want to miss anything. It's so important that you get all the information regarding relationship, dating, and marriage. So I encourage you to do so. Thank you so much for being here. And we are going to be talking about something that that is parental concern. We are going to be dealing with parents today and their children. I want to talk about ways to help manage your child's behavior. And that's what I want to talk about today. So everyone is welcome to join this live stream. The discussion is going to be open. The discussion and the chat box is going to be open. You can bring in your comments, your suggestions, or your opinion about whatever we are talking about. And that is what this platform is for. It's a community where we share and also learn from each other. So I want to welcome every one of you once again. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button now. And also like the video as you listen along. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on the stage our guest today, who's going to join me in discussing the subject. And what is that? We want to be talking about ways to actually manage. We want to talk about managing the behavior of your children. How do you manage the behavior of your children? And this is a very important subject because many of us are parents and want to look at what we could do or how we're doing it and what better we could do. I don't know how you want me to put it, but we're looking at what better strategy, what better steps, what better method you could use, all right, to help raise and train your children. And that's why we're here today. So let me bring on the stage, on the screen, my guest, so that we'll be able to begin to share. And she will just introduce herself while we begin. You're welcome, man. This is Janet. And
Hello, hi.
you're welcome.
Hello.
You're welcome.
Hello, hi everyone. Hi. Thank you very much, Pastor Charles, for sharing this platform with me today. I'm very grateful and honored.
You're welcome.
By the way, my name is Janet. Janet Vandy. Um, yeah, I work with children, and hence this topic is
Mm,
very close to my heart. It's something that we're all parents, and in every way or shape, we'll have we'll sometimes struggle with this,
mhm,
irrespective of our backgrounds, our cultural orientations, our religion, our ages. Yeah, it's an area of parenting that can be quite challenging, um, challenging, and sometimes can be yeah, somehow rewarding because, as parents, also we learn from our children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, and I'm very happy to be here this evening to, share my thoughts and my views and experiences, in this particular area. Yeah, as
Awesome.
as a mother, and yeah, as someone that also, yeah, deals with
Awesome.
other parental
Awesome.
issues. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Thank you so much. Hello,
exactly.
Civic Coach, for joining us today. Antina, thank you for joining us today. Those of you that are just joining us, please share this video, and also, um, uh, pardon any technical issue that we may have, because at the moment we're having the networks everywhere is very funny. So, but we'll try as much as possible to come visual, to be more visual. If you can hear us, let us know at the comment section. If you can't see us, also let us know, and then we'll know what to do. All right, let's go to what we have to share today. Now, before we continue, I understand that there is a very thin line or a misconception between managing or the word discipline a child and correcting a child. And a lot of people haven't on, or let me not even correcting a child. There's a big difference. People don't know the thin line between disciplining a child and punishing a child for what they did or for their behavior. So, the word discipline, or as it implies negatively, a lot of people have a wrong idea about the word discipline. It is negatively interpreted
Yeah.
to be punishment. And that I want us to demystify first in this subject before we go into all of the details.
Mhm.
Because, in my own understanding, discipline doesn't mean punishing. So, discipline means helping a child to manage their behavior.
Exactly.
It is helping to manage oneself. That's the definition of discipline. Helping to manage oneself. So when you come to discipline a child, we're talking about managing, helping to manage that helping to help. That means helping that child to manage him or herself,
That's correct.
helping the child to manage the character, the behavior, because they are still children.
Yeah.
So they don't understand how to put their emotions in place.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
don't understand how to put their expression in place. They don't know how to place
Mm.
their choices.
Yeah.
So that aspect is where I want us to begin from. So I wanted to explain to us,
Mm.
this is you're good with children, you work with children,
Mm.
and I want you to really talk more on this. What is the thin line? How would you differentiate between discipline a child and punishing a child? What's the difference? Even though I've already gave the definition of what
Mm.
discipline means, so
Mm.
throw more light in that.
Just as you've mentioned, Pastor Charles, there is a thin line between the two.
Yeah.
Um, and the word discipline, as you've already mentioned, kind of like suggest being physically hard on your child. And discipline, you can discipline a child,
Mm,
you know, but my own experience of, having to deal with some parents with that discipline sometimes is done from a point of anger. You can discipline a child in
mm,
different aspects. When you discipline a child from a point of anger, that
mm,
becomes an issue,
mm,
right?
mm,
And the other aspect is, discipline. You can. I can hear myself echoing. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that is the negative connotation that is attached to that discipline. That's why some people find it difficult to come to terms with that word. And we live in a society whereby, when you discipline, as you mentioned already, it's
Yeah.
it's already generates physical harm to a child. That word already, creates thoughts of, oh, what is going on there? What are they doing to that child? What discipline are they using? What method are they using? Obviously there are different methods of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are different ways to discipline a child. Which would depend from the ages of the child. And also depends on whatever behavior the child might display. To kind of like, yeah, implement that level of whatever discipline you want to implement, or whatever level of behavioral management you want to implement in that child, or strategy you might want to use to kind of like regulate that child's emotion,
Yeah.
and bring it to the point of where you want your child to be. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, first of all, I believe that everyone is watching wherever you are. If you want to ask questions, you can ask questions. We're talking about ways to help manage your child's behavior. Now, every child have their own response to life, their
Mm-hmm.
own feel of life.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I believe that in your own field of perfection, as one who work with children,
Mm-hmm.
you want to let us know, what are what are your observation when it comes to managing children and discipline, punishing children that you have seen, and why you feel that people are actually misplacing or misappropriating the use
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
of discipline over
Mm-hmm.
punishment, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and why, what are the effects of this behavior,
Yeah.
this kind of implement application of discipline or
Mm-hmm.
such to say, is in quote because they use the word discipline, but
Mm-hmm.
they are actually punishing the child.
Mm-hmm.
You see. So
Mm-hmm.
what's
Yeah.
the difference? So we want to know, in your experience, how can you help us understand the difference?
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, I've come across a lot of situations whereby, um, from different cultural background, different religious background, I've experienced scenarios whereby, a child will come to our attention for maybe being disciplined, you know, by a parent, and automatically what that generates to us is a worry for that child, what discipline method has that parent used, is it a form of like hitting that child? Is it a form of like shouting on that child? You know, and when disciplining a child by using an object, that becomes, you know,
Abuse.
an abuse, you know, and a punishment. You can punish a child by withdrawing, privileges from the child. Maybe, just like, asking the child, I'm going to remove your laptop away from you today, or your phone from you today for a couple of hours, you know, that is appropriate, kind of like managing that child's behavior. But when you use objects or items, for example, like, a spoon, like, I mean, I have experienced a situation whereby, parents use a wooden spoon, to hit a child. And that became, yeah, that became a kind of like, a situation of abuse to that child. Because once you use an object, it becomes, you've gone too far in your level of discipline. Parents might not see it that way, but you need to think about the child. What impact have you created on that child by using that object to use that to hit that child for maybe, you know things like a child might not have listened to you, a child disobey, maybe a routine within the family home. Yeah, so those are the kind of like differences we have to deal with, and again, you can discipline the child from a point of love. But again, as parents, sometimes we don't have control over our own emotions. You might be doing that thinking that it's, you're doing it out of love, but for the child, that might connect different meaning to that child. It might mean something different to that child, you know, which might indicate that, oh, maybe my mom doesn't love me or my dad doesn't love me. What are they being very harsh on me. So it varies from culture, from different parental backgrounds, different experiences. As parents, obviously, we have our own. There is no wrong and right, you know, um, in this form of managing child's behavior. You know, every parents have their own strategy to deal with. And again, the reason why we're here today is just to kind of like refresh some of those skills that we might have, as parents, to reinforce those behaviors that we think we want to see in our children.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so yeah.
Awesome. Yes. First of all, let me welcome our guests. Sorry, our viewers here. Um, Civic Coach, sir, you're welcome. I'm glad to see you here. Shout out to you. And also, I have here Sareme, Obosan. Can you imagine? I can't even pronounce. I can't even pronounce her surname. She will be angry with me
Yeah.
now. Obosahan. So you're welcome. I thank you for being here.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
also, I want to thank Antonia for being here as well. All right,
mhm,
guys, you're
mhm, mhm.
watching. Leave your comment there. For those of you watching, just leave your
Yeah,
comment. If you have any question, please
yeah.
endeavor to leave your question down on the comment
Mm,
section and share this video so we can have more people to view this. Share the video wherever you are. Just click share
mm,
button, and then you'll be able to share to your friends on YouTube, on
mm,
Facebook, on WhatsApp. So share right now. Thank you very much. Now let's go back to what we have to share, to talk about.
mm,
Now, we've been able to explain what it means, the difference between managing a child and punishing a child. So
mhm,
when it comes to discipline, we're talking about the ability for a parent to help the child manage their behavior,
mhm,
manage their life. Because children need help to manage their life. Not every
mm,
child have obviously we all know all children do not have the capacity to
mm,
manage themselves. So that's why we have parents.
mhm. Yeah.
So someone is asking, what scripture do you want us to interpret? Now the discipline there is
Mm,
not about uh it's not about punishing the child. Rather, it's about
mhm,
managing their behavior. That's the
mhm,
actual
mhm.
discipline. Now,
Yeah.
before we go on,
Someone, yeah, yeah.
because says young
Someone
stars.
else.
Yeah, this is the scripture. It says, young
Yeah.
stars' heart is filled with foolishness, but physical discipline will drive it far away. Physical discipline.
Mhm, mhm,
Now, that doesn't mean that you have to hit them with a spoon,
mhm,
with a knife,
mhm.
or with a whatever. Do you understand? And
Yeah.
again, this physical discipline that we're talking about, it is actually confronting the situation,
Mhm, mhm. That's correct.
confronting the child's behavior,
Yeah, and reinforcing that behavior.
and reinforcing
Reinforcing
the
that
effect,
behavior.
the negative impact of that
Mm,
behavior.
mm,
Because the discipline here, um, hold on, who's Osarime is putting on that. Let me explain one of the questions
mhm,
because
mhm.
we haven't even started the question.
Oh
But,
no, we already have love.
so let
Yeah.
me explain. Let me
Yeah.
explain what civic coach said. Civic coach
Mm,
said, how do you interpret this scripture, host? Now the scripture is, a young star's heart is filled with foolishness. That means a child heart is filled with foolishness. That means
mhm.
inability to do things right.
Yeah.
That's foolishness. Inability to talk right. That's
Mhm,
foolishness. Inability to think right. That's foolishness. That means inability to know what is right to do. That's
mhm, mhm.
foolishness. So it says, but physical discipline will drive it far away. Now,
Wait.
that
Yeah.
is where a lot of people are missing it. The word
Mhm.
physical discipline there doesn't mean you should punish the child.
God.
Now, there's a big difference. The
Mhm,
prison house today is not called a place of punishment.
mhm.
The prisons we have today is
Yeah.
not called a place of punishment. is a place of self-management. They call it place where people are being managed, where
Mhm.
that behavior that brought them to that place in
Mhm.
the first place is being managed.
Mhm.
When
Mhm.
someone is in prison, he's not being punished. He's being what do you call it? Contained, so that he be able to understand and reflect on his behavior and then change. Now he may go, whoever is in prison may go through all of sort of punishment and all of, I
Mhm.
mean, all of sort of attack and this disapproval and all of that. But that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that that man or woman was sent to prison for punishment. He
Yeah.
was sent to prison so that his attitude, his behavior will be managed. All right, to help manage it. Now that
Mhm.
is exactly what we mean by physical discipline.
Discipline.
So if that guy did wrong, the judge execute that person, you find out that not
Mhm.
even if there are some people today in our civilized world, when they do something wrong, they are charged to court.
Yeah.
Even the police can't even have anything to me to do to whip them or hurt them. They are not advised to touch them. So when they are being executed or sentenced, they are put into prison. No one is advised to touch them or
And
do
that's punishment.
anything. Yes,
Mm.
do
Yeah.
anything to harm them
Mhm.
physically. That's
Mhm.
what they call punishment.
Punishment.
But
Yeah.
yes, but discipline is what they are supposed to face. So the judge executes the physical discipline, which is sending that child, that person,
Mhm.
to the appropriate place where his
Mm.
behavior will be managed,
Yeah.
contained. Now, the more foolishness of his behavior, or the worse his behavior is, the higher the place or the more contained the place that he will be
Mhm.
sent to. The same thing with children. Children, as we already know, foolishness comes from their heart. That's not their making. Why should I be whipping and beating the child consistently
Mhm.
of something that is not
Mhm.
his making? He's just trying to understand life.
Mhm.
He's
Mhm.
just trying to grow. He's
Yeah.
just trying to know the word that you brought the child
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
trying to understand which word my dad, my mom brought me in to live in. And in
Mhm.
trying to learn and
Mm.
act whatever his emotion tells him,
Exactly.
he
Yeah.
makes mistakes.
Yeah.
So in that retrospect, the physical discipline is me showing up and
Mhm.
then talking the child through, rebuking the
The
child,
child. Yeah.
correcting the
Watching the
child.
child.
That doesn't mean I should punish the child with
Mhm. Mhm.
physical beating.
No. No. No.
So the scripture
That's correct.
here is probably misinterpreted by a lot of parents.
Mhm.
All right. So
Yeah.
there is a room where a child will need to be uh,
Corrected.
corrected with
Yeah.
a whip.
Rep-
You can whip the child to be corrected in certain way whereby
Mm.
you are repeating a process of behavior management. Now we'll come back to that. So there's
Mhm.
so much to share here. Let me allow my guests to say something. You
Mhm.
guys have already asked the question, so I just
Yeah.
tried to quickly answer that
Yes.
because
Yes.
the question was directed to me, and he said I
Mhm.
should answer. So I
Yeah.
believe, Civico sir, I've been able to answer that question the way you think it should be. Now, before we continue, I will look at
Yeah.
your comments again, guys. Let me give
Yeah.
my guests the opportunity to say
That's fine.
something because we have questions that one had to answer.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
having explained the differences between disciplining a
Mhm.
child and
Mhm.
correcting a child, or
Mhm.
managing the difference between punishing a child and managing a child's behavior.
Mhm.
So let's look at this. Um, what ways can a parent help manage a child's behavior?
I mean, there are a lot of ways, we can manage a child's behavior without not being physical on them,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I'm sure most of us are very good at this as parents. Talk, 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 talk. As a parent, you never get tired of talking. Even when you don't want to talk, sometimes you talk for the sake of just trying to bring some calmness to the situation, trying to cool down emotions, in a child. Talk to the child, communicate with that child just as you communicate with your spouse. Communication is key in every relationship, and even more relevant, with our children, you know. Be positive.
Mm,
talk positively to your child. I mean, there will come a time or situation whereby you might want to, correct a child's behavior, but at the same time, you have to be positive
mm.
as a parent, and rewarding those positive behaviors, you know, in situations like we might experience really. Um, and as parents, we need to be consistent. Consistency is very, very important with children. You know, you
In,
cannot be
in correcting them to do the
yes,
right thing.
to do the right thing. Yeah, you have to be consistent. You cannot be saying one thing to the child, for a certain behavior that they have kind of like display, and the next day you say something different. Perhaps for the same behavior. You know, so it's being consistent as a parent.
Okay,
Um,
hold on. Let
yeah.
me address this. Osareme
Mhm.
has so many comments here that I want to address.
Really.
She said,
uh,
discipline is training to
uh,
obey rules,
yeah.
not not aggressive,
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
shouting or hitting.
Mhm. Mhm.
Punishment is a different thing. Okay, we understand that. That's what we're saying. That discipline
Yeah.
is not punishment.
Yeah.
But there is a misconception there. When we
Mhm.
are raising our children, we tend to see that we interpret it as though we are punishing them. Well, so I mean, we interpret it as though we are disciplining them when we punish them. We say it is discipline. So
Mhm.
here she says, withdrawing, she says, withdrawing, is it? I think withdrawing privilege is the punishment. Let's not confuse it. Withdrawing privilege is a punishment. See, that's the point. We need to
Mhm.
understand the difference between punishment
Mhm.
and discipline.
Discipline.
You see, because we have been raised,
Mm.
we have been taught for so
Program.
long,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
programmed to think like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
so long.
Mm.
We just think that punishment is the same thing as discipline.
Mm.
Discipline is helping to manage oneself. That's what discipline means. Is helping to manage oneself.
Mm.
But when it comes to punishment, it means you are now taking some legal steps to put the person to make the person feel that there is pain involved. So
Mhm.
if there is pain involved, there's consequences, and this is
Mhm.
your consequences for
Yeah.
doing what you're doing. So we understand that, but we are not talking about punishing a child right now.
No.
We're not
Mm.
talking about punishing a child. We're talking
Mm.
about managing help.
Managing behavior. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
People need to
Exactly.
understand it. We're
Exactly.
talking about managing the behavior of
Yeah.
people, of children. Now, let me read this. It says, and educating the child, Antonia says, educating the child is the danger that behavior can lead him to or her. Then, Osareme says, I disagree, sir. I believe
Mm.
that's when she went off. She went offline now. I don't think she's still online. She said, I disagree. I disagree, sir. I say, okay, what do you disagree with? He said, you can't manage. She says, you can't manage fraud in prison.
In prison.
She says, you go to jail as a punishment. Okay. Now, like I said, we all think that that is a form of punishment,
Hmm.
but it is a management system.
Management strategy is a strategy to manage that
It
ever
is
or ever offense. Yeah.
it
It's
is
a
a
management
management
strategy.
system.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it is punishment, one of
Hmm.
the things they will do is just to kill the person.
Exactly. Yeah. Or
They will
flog the
just
person from there and then. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
put the person on a public pole and flog
Hmm.
the person,
Hmm.
or set up a kind of physical punishment that will
Hmm.
that people will see that
Hmm.
this is. Now you may think that taking someone to prison
Hmm.
is a
Hmm.
form of
Hmm.
punishment. In
Hmm.
one way of looking at it, it could be, but it's
Yeah.
not,
Mm-mm.
because the aim is to manage the behavior of that person.
Hmm. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
she says here, punishment instills a penalty for a child's offense. Punishment instills a penalty for a child's offense. Okay. It
Mm-hmm.
is about
Mm-hmm.
making a child pay for his mistake. Sometimes the desire to inflict punishment stems from a parent's feeling of frustration.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Like we said, you just said punishment is to instill a penalty for a child's offense. You call it offense
Mm-hmm.
and you call it penalty, which is punishment. All right, based
Mm-hmm.
on offense. All right, now understand something, that a child who doesn't know how to talk and then he says something that you don't like, how could you be offended by that? A
Mm.
child who doesn't know how to cook and then
Mm.
he burn himself in the kitchen, or throw the food upside down from the pot, or something
Mm-hmm.
happened, and then you begin to beat the child, how can you explain that as being
Exactly.
a way of disciplining the child?
Yeah.
You need to understand something. Foolishness is in the heart of a child, and it says it's only
Mm.
discipline, physical discipline, that will drive it away. So
Mm-hmm.
what does that mean? A child who is foolish is someone who doesn't know what to do, doesn't know how to do it. So he acts based on without prior information, prior
Mm-hmm.
knowledge,
Yeah.
prior understanding. So he acts and then he makes mistake. He does something that is wrong instead
Exactly.
of doing the right thing. So doing something that is wrong is
Mm-hmm.
actually an absence of wisdom, the lack of
Of.
right knowledge to do that thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the absence of wisdom is the presence of foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
So in reality, when a child can't do or doesn't know how to do certain things, that child is said to be acting foolishly because he doesn't know how to do it. He hasn't come to that maturity, that state of doing the right thing.
Mm.
So the parent is given to that child as a guardian, someone to help
Mm.
them do it,
Yeah.
re-educate them,
Yeah.
train them.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is what discipline
Teach
means.
it.
And that's what we're
Mm.
talking about. Okay, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. No, it is not the same. Okay,
Yeah.
let me explain something here. He
Yeah,
said,
okay.
he said, discipline teaches children new skills.
Today, the exact. Yeah.
Hold
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And he
Mm-hmm.
said,
Mm-hmm.
discipline teaches children new things, such as how to manage their
Manage
behavior,
the behavior.
solve problems, and
Mm-hmm.
deal with uncomfortable emotions. Discipline helps kids learn from their mistakes and teach. This is exactly what we're talking about.
It's good discipline. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, would you tell us your own understanding of punishment? Let's compare them. So you now discover that we actually, as parents, sometimes use both of them
Mm-hmm.
interchangeably.
Interchangeably. Yeah. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just
Okay.
think when we discipline our child, we or when we punish our child is a form of discipline, but it's two different things.
Mm-hmm.
They are
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
not the same.
It's not the same. They're
I'm
not.
not. I'm not sure if my language is being twisted on the other
I,
side
ag-
of
I
it.
I agree with you, Pastor. It's not. It's not the same. It's
So
not.
I'm looking at that now. She
Mhm.
says it's now. It says no, it is not the same thing. That's what we're saying. So
Exactly.
discipline and what do you call punishment? They are
Punishment.
not the same.
They are two different. Two different
So
things.
what we are saying here on this platform on today's show
Mm-hmm.
is that we are not supposed to be engaging in punishment
Punishment.
as form of discipline.
Discipline. Yeah.
Rather, we should really see discipline as it is. And that's why we call the title of this program Ways to
So
Manage,
manage. Yeah.
to help manage the
Mm-hmm.
behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
that's what discipline means.
Exactly.
Like you just said, Sademe,
Mm-hmm.
discipline teaches, you see, you when you teach children, you don't
Mm-hmm.
teach children by whipping them,
No.
by
No.
flogging them.
No.
You teach by talking
By talking.
and analyzing. You teach children by explaining
Explain. Yeah. Yeah.
with examples,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
by showing them pictures
Yes. Yeah.
of what they should expect when they do something wrong,
Wrong.
by
Yeah.
showing them
Exactly.
pictures
Mm-hmm.
through words. You use
Mm-hmm.
your words to explain to them This is what you see when you do this. This is what you expect when you do this. And
Exactly.
if
Yeah.
you do this right, this is what you're gonna get. This is what you get.
Exactly.
That is what
Consequences. Yeah.
teaching does.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a way of helping them
Mm-hmm.
to manage their behavior,
The behavior. Exactly.
solve
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't solve problem by flogging
By
children,
flogging. Exactly.
by hitting children. You
You know,
don't you don't solve
it's
emotional
a,
problems by hitting,
by hating up.
by
Yeah.
causing more
Mm, mm,
abuse
mm,
on the
mm,
children.
mm, 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 mm,
So
mm, mm.
punishment have its own dimension
Of course. Yeah.
of instilling
Of course.
what do you call hurt. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said earlier on, let me bring our words.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
She's already defined it for us now.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why is she not disagreeing with us?
Yes.
She said punishment.
Exactly.
Look at it. She said
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
punishment instills a penalty for a child's offense.
Uh-huh.
All right, which we agree. So again, how could you say a child offends you? Think about it. You could say an adult offends you,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But
not
not a
a
child.
child offending you,
Mhm.
because a
Yeah.
child doesn't even know what he's doing.
Exactly.
That's why
Exactly.
he's a child.
The child. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Exactly.
you can tell that he's acting
Uh-huh.
out of foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you treat someone who is acting out of foolishness? Is it by beating them and cursing them and calling them names?
Names. Exactly. Yeah. No.
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 And making them feel regretful that they ever lived
Yeah. Or rejected or not
or
being
rejected?
loved. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Is
Not
that
being loved.
how? Is that how I'm going to really help the child?
Mm-mm.
So that's what we're looking at on this platform today, guys.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
if
mm-hmm.
you're asking your questions and making comment, please understand what we're saying.
Bring it back. Yeah.
We are not
Yeah.
saying that this punishment is not supposed to be existing. It does.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Punishment has its role to play.
To play it. Yeah.
But when you are raising a child, punishment is less required.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What is required is discipline,
Yeah.
which is helping that child to manage their behavior.
Manage the behavior. Yeah.
Let
And
me
that's
go back.
yeah.
Yeah, tell me.
Sorry, and that's where you need the strategies of managing that behavior, isn't it? In terms of,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever the child might display. If the child is not listening, child is stealing, or the child is lying, you know, that's when you need those strategies or different methods of, how do you manage that as, as a parent, you
hmm.
know? So, yeah.
So that's fine because, and again, I'm looking at some of the ways our parents are trying to have excuses
Mm-hmm.
to continue doing what they are doing. Because in in most cases, you talk about this kind of thing, people are like,
Mm,
"Come on, what's that? What is he
exactly.
talking about?" But I have kids. I have two kids, so I was raised by parents. I understand the difference.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
understand the difference between punishment and discipline. I can
Yeah,
tell when I was being punished.
exactly.
I can tell
Yeah.
when I was being disciplined.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And according to your definitions, I remember, it's clear that most of the way I was raised, personally,
mm-hmm.
most of the time it was punishment I
Yeah.
get for every mistake I made.
Yeah, and
You-
children will know. Sorry, Pastor. Children
Yes,
will they will not tell you exactly, what that means for them, but they will know the differences between, whether what you've done to them is a discipline or it's a punishment. You know? Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So she said, again, there she comes. This is the danger. It is definitely not the same. Yes, we are saying the same thing, Osareme.
exactly. It's
We are saying
yeah, yeah.
that punishment and discipline, they are
Hmm.
not the
Not this.
same.
No, no.
But we have parents who thinks that they are the same.
Same. Yeah, yeah.
So we have parents who punish their children
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
call it discipline.
Discipline. Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
can even hit
Exactly.
their chest
Mm-hmm,
and brag about it and say, you know what? I discipline my children with
mm-hmm.
severe punishment. I punish them very well. I train them to be very. I mean, you're doing that, and the child knows that he's being abused,
Mm-hmm.
he's being treated unfairly. So those are the conditions we're looking at. All right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I believe that answered the question. So let's
Yeah.
move to the next one. We
Yeah.
already talked about ways. Okay, now let's go back to
Mhm.
what we're trying to explain about the ways a parent can help manage a child's behavior. So now we're talking about managing. Like
Mhm.
Osareme just gave us a hint on what
Mhm.
we should really look at in her
Mhm.
comment. She
Mhm.
said discipline is teaching children new skills. So, what way can we implement to teach children new skills? If discipline is teaching children new skills, or how to showing them how to manage,
Mhm.
solve
Mhm.
problem,
Mhm.
deal
Mhm.
with uncomfortable emotion or
Mm.
situations, what
Mm.
ways will you suggest that parent can use to do this?
Obviously, as I was saying earlier, education is very key.
Mm.
Educate that child, you know, giving consequences, for good, for what they've done, and let them know that, what they've done is not acceptable. It's about teaching, teach, 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 and being logical with your child, trying to look at things from that child's perspective. What is that child going through for him or her to be able to behave in a way that that may not please you as a parent. you
Mm.
know has that child had a bad day at school, or what is going on within the family home that might be affecting that child, but not able to say exactly what he or she is going through, but
Hold on,
displaying the
hold on, hold on. Another thing again. Let me tell you something. She said, she said here, schooling is discipline. Schooling is discipline. That means sending a child to school is discipline.
discipline.
When she go to school and learn, that's teaching environment. But he says, if my
I
child's
disagree.
teacher flog, wait, hold on. If my child's, she said, if my child teacher flog my child, that is punishment, and I will be upset. Yes, you're correct. That's what it means. I understand what she's saying. She's saying
Mhm,
that
mhm, mhm, mhm,
the
mhm,
word
mhm,
teach is means to school. To teach
mhm,
someone
mhm,
means to school somebody. It means
mhm,
to disciple somebody, to
mhm,
educate someone. That's the real meaning of schooling. It
mhm,
means to
mhm.
get education. All right. That's why when a child is being flogged in school, it's an abuse.
Exactly. That is a different
But
level. That's a different level of
you understand? But
yeah.
in Africa,
Yeah.
where we're raised, mostly partly in Africa, children are flogged on a daily
Mhm.
basis in school.
Mhm.
Some are asked to take off their uniforms
Of
and
course.
kneel down under the sun,
Mhm.
and then they will be there for hours. That is not discipline. That is punishment.
Punishment. Yeah.
We shouldn't do that to our
Yeah.
children.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are things, okay, for instance, there are things we do most
Mm.
times. We say, okay, it's a punishment. But it gets beyond. There are things that they will do. It's like they repeat it once,
Mhm.
twice,
Mhm.
second
Yeah.
time, the fourth time, the fifth time,
Mhm.
and then you can say, okay, here I'm gonna do this. What is that?
Mhm.
I might take something away from you that you love. I might ask you to go and sit down in one corner.
Mhm. Mhm.
I might tell you to go and do certain things, or what do you call it? Pick toe. I can
Yeah.
ask you to pick your
Mhm.
toe.
Mhm. Mhm.
I can ask you to jump like a
Mhm.
frog.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that doesn't mean you're being punished.
Mhm.
But in me, in such a way, I'm thinking, oh, to me, I'm instilling something in you that, okay,
Mhm.
you're not supposed to be doing this again.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
did it once, you did it second time,
And
you did the fourth time. What?
mm.
Okay, here's what you're gonna do.
Mhm.
Stay
Mhm.
there. Now, like Osareme said, most of the punishment we do is
Mhm.
out of frustration.
Mhm.
Most
Mhm.
of the things we do,
It's out of anger.
you
Yeah.
understand, it's out of
Mm.
frustration. All
Mm.
right. So when a parent is being frustrated of the pain that they are going to try to correct the
Mm.
child, and the child is not listening, is not adapting, so they want to do something to make them remember
Mhm.
that they are supposed not to do such things. All right. That's
Yeah.
where we take it beyond borders. For instance, now I was just giving an example of children being flogged in school, asked
Mm.
to kneel down for hours, and then under the sun, no explanation given,
Mm.
no thought. There's no management in place.
No, not at all. No.
You did something, you are straight to punishment. Why am I being punished?
Mhm.
Because you
Mhm.
did it. But I just did it. I didn't know why. I just did it. I'm a child. For instance, he's a child. He doesn't know. He just did it. So those are the things we need to consider
Mm.
in ironing this situation. So here, Sariman said, I am not
Mhm.
disagreeing with you
Yeah.
at all. The only thing I disagree with is that going to jail is discipline. Jail is punishment. Okay, we'll come back to that one. Don't worry about that. Jail, that's, there's so much to talk about that. You will understand it if you do your research. But
Yeah.
here's the thing, she's telling us here ways we could, help
Mhm.
develop and teach our children. All right. And she said,
Mhm.
talking to them very important, educating them is
Mhm.
very important. Now, is there a way we can actually be, because again, you talk about patience.
Mhm.
Parents need to be patient with their children
Mhm.
because they are learning and they
Mhm.
don't learn the way adults learn.
No, not at all. No.
So it's so important that we
Mhm.
have to exercise patience.
Patient. Yep.
So, which
Yep.
other things you want to add to that before we move to the next question?
Um, Patience and being available to that child. Emotionally being available to that child. You
Emotionally
know,
stable. Yeah.
and we'll find out that because of our busy lifestyle in this society,
Yeah.
because of our own issues that we might be going through, we might be physically present with those children, but we're not emotionally connected, to
Mm.
them. So, that is very key, being attentive to whatever they trying to tell you and being responsive as well to their needs.
Yeah.
Because for them, that's all they know,
Mm.
They don't want to care about what your day has been at work,
Mm.
or what financial struggles you might be going through to provide
Mm.
food for them on the table,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Good. So, at what age should a parent begin to manage a child's behavior?
Again, it depends, and it varies from culture to culture. It varies from family setup to family setup. You have families where maybe a mother is a single mother. You have family where it's a two parents, family. And again, when it actually depends really, on the circumstances of that parent or what they might be going through at that time. you know in my own experience, I will say, as soon as the child begins to understand, you know as young as, perhaps, from my own experience, from the age of 1, you know just you know teaching that child in terms of, what they go, what, yeah, developmentally, what is right for them at that age. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So, you suggest when a child is born,
Hmm.
from the age of 1, the
Hmm.
child will begin to understand his environment.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
In addition to that, it's true. It's true. Most parents will start from there.
Hmm.
And that's very important. But remember, everyone watching this, you guys should remember
Hmm.
that a child learns from the womb.
In the womb. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
A child starts observing things from the womb.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just because it's a child doesn't mean it's not human.
No. No.
There's a big understanding that we all need to have that when a child is in the womb, he is completely human.
Hmm.
Completely human. Everything that a human being has, that child has.
Mm.
So it's so
Mm.
important.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so important that parents understand that. So again, it's primary objective that parents understand that when a child is being born into the earth,
Hmm.
from that day forward, the
They
child
learn.
is learning.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you are now responsible to begin to educate them about life that you just
Hmm.
brought them in.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see, why do you find that doctors, after a child is born, they will take the child and give it to the mother
Hmm.
instantly? Why? Because that moment they want the child to know and recognize that this is your mother.
Hmm. Hmm.
That warmth, that chemistry,
Yeah.
that bond is what they want to create in that child
Hmm.
from that moment.
Hmm.
So it's very important, guys, that we understand that it begins from the womb.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
begins from the womb. And also, if you can start, like she said, from age one, that's good, because there are a lot of people who never start until age 3. They never start disciplining their children until they start seeing their children misbehaving badly beyond what they expect. So it's very important that we
Mhm.
understand that. Let me look at the
Yeah.
comments that you guys are putting on. Atena said parent needs to be physically and emotionally supportive
Emotionally.
at all
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
And that's very true.
I
All
agree.
right,
Yeah.
good. So thank you guys. Let me move to the next question, and then we'll just begin to look at other things. Now, um, what method can you apply to manage a child's behavior? If it is rude, that child is rude, he tells lies and he steals. What method can you use to discipline that child? What, because there is an attitude like this lady
Mhm.
said just now. Someone that steals ends up in prison.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right, and
Yeah.
in most likely people that tell lies
Mhm.
and then end up in prison as well. So in reality, how do we manage this behavior
Mhm.
that a child is rude, a child is lying and telling lies, and then he steals? How do you manage that behavior?
Um. Obviously, any behavior can be quite challenging for a child. Um. When a child begins to steal and lie,
Mm,
as a parent that there is something wrong. You know, within your own ability as a parent. To give that child what is not acceptable for that age.
mm,
For a child to begin to steal and lie, for example, at the age of 7, that means that something is wrong, right? And that's why we parents, we need to come in, we need to be switched on, you know, to try and kind of like find out what is going on for this child. What is the child lying? What is it trying to tell me? And that's why role modeling comes in for the child. What is the behavior that is going on within the home that is, impacting on that child to display such behavior or to exhibit, you know, such behavior that is not acceptable for a child of his age, you know. Um, yeah, looking within yourself, looking within your own parenting, ability as a parent, you know, looking within the family structure, you know, what is the child picking up within the home or within the social environment that is impacting on that child to be, doing that, So yeah, it comes back to you as a parent, to try and find out with your child, is that a learned behavior, you know, where is that child learning that behavior from? It might not be within the home, it might be maybe through watching, you know, social media or being exposed to things that it might not be, they are not supposed to be exposed to at that age, you know, or is that child just doing that to mimic something that, he or she has been exposed to, or trying to, you know, determine, is it right, is it wrong, not quite sure, what to do with that behavior, but just wanting to put it out there for us parents to tell them that, that is not acceptable. They might
mm.
not, I mean, a child might not know that, what they're doing is, it's not right, you know. So, um, yeah, that's my
So
take on that.
okay, um, wonderful. Now the idea is more like the parents first of all should have known that the child is doing this,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then take action prior
Yeah.
to that, before it gets worse, before it
Hmm.
gets really bad.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then, for instance, if a child takes something that doesn't belong to him,
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
stealing.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
if you don't educate the child what it
Mm-hmm.
means, what that action means, he will just keep doing it.
Exactly.
And I believe that is where the problem is: education.
Mm.
Because when a child tell a lie and say, "Did you take? Are you the one that take that pen from the table?" You say, "No," but the pen is in your hand.
Hmm.
He's saying no. So at that moment, that child needs to be corrected.
Mhm.
and say, well, you are lying. This is not right.
Mhm.
This is what it means to lie. You see, you are not telling the truth. The child should be able to, the, the child should be able to educate the parents should be able to educate the child and tell them this is right, this is wrong.
Not wrong.
This
Yep.
behavior is right, this behavior, and
Mhm.
this is the reason why it's right,
Mhm.
this is the reason why it's wrong. And
Mhm.
things that are done wrong can have a
Mm.
certain kind of life impact,
Mm. Mm.
which is very
Mhm.
important.
Mhm.
So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that
Okay.
subject.
Mhm.
Now, another thing I want to talk about is, should you apologize to your kids if you feel bad that that you correct them? You corrected them and you've spoken to them, and the child is now moody and feeling like as though he's not happy. Should you apologize for correcting a child?
In my own experience, it's not apologizing, but trying to reason with the child. You know, trying to, you know, define why you did that to the child, trying to explain to them to their level. Mom did this because of what you've done. She wasn't very happy with what you've done. So I don't want you to repeat that behavior anymore. So it's like you're apologizing to the child, but you know, in a way that, I'm trying to reason with at the same time that that behavior that they display is not acceptable by you or within the family, you know. And again, that is teaching the child that, good manners, life skills, about being able to replicate that behavior. If they were in school, they hurt each other, they need to be able to be remorseful, to one another. It's about yeah,
Okay,
implementing good strategy of, being a good role model in a society, really. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Because in most cases, we have parents uh,
Mm,
after rebuking the child, correcting the
mm,
child,
mm,
they feel
mm,
bad and they start apologizing. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I didn't
mm,
mean to do that to you. I'm so
mm,
sorry.
mm.
Then the child have the basis of repeating the action again, knowing that
Exactly.
he has a
Yeah.
pity party. The
Yeah.
child
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
I mean, he can feel a pity party coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
Mm,
do it again, mommy will say, I'm sorry. So okay, why trying to correct me when you're knowing that you are going to apologize of what you did? So in most cases, children take such apology after being corrected. I'm not talking about punishment. After being corrected, I'm not talking about abuse. If you abuse a child, you have to apologize to that child. Otherwise, it might fall back at you. But again, when it comes to punishment, I mean discipline, are we still connected? Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can
Okay,
hear you.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So when it comes to discipline a child and
Mm,
you correct them and they feel bad, it's not your role to apologize. It is your role to just explain why such things were taken, such things were said, and why you want them to change. And then encourage them to see the positivity of what you're doing or saying, what their life would be like. All right. Then, when you do that, you have to embrace them, love them for listening to you, encourage them, praise them. All right. Let me look at the comments. I can see a comment there. Oh, Atana said, give, yeah, you can give hugs and kisses to the child after correcting. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about now. You see, embrace them, correct them, and praise them. Don't just correct them and walk away. You praise them and, like you said, hug them. They will take such things seriously more than anything else. So if you are trying to now become apologetic, oh, I'm so sorry, my baby. I'm so sorry for doing that to you. I didn't mean to. You didn't mean to? So that means what I did was right. So you are wrong. So you are admitting that you did something wrong. So they did what was right. So in their mind, they will repeat it again. Such actions will be repeated. So we need to be very, very conscious of how we apologize to our kids and when we apologize. It is when you actually did something beyond discipline, when you actually went ahead to punish them, do things to hurt them. That obviously you need to apologize for if that happens. So, one word. What would be the one word you will ever wish to say to parents who are listening to you now? An advice.
I would like to say to every parent, don't give up. Love your children as much as you can. You know, be there for them. Love them. You can still, you know, um, discipline, but at the same time love the child. You know, and just be consistent. Really, yeah, that's all I
So,
can say to every
irrespective
civil
of the situation,
situation. Yeah,
a
yeah,
child is supposed to be loved.
yeah, yeah.
While you are correcting them and while you are disciplining them,
Hmm.
love them.
Love them. Yeah, love
Awesome.
them. Love them. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so
Hmm.
much. That has been
Thank you.
awesome moment today. I want
Hmm.
to say a big thank you for sharing your ideas, sharing
Yeah.
your thoughts, and it's been an amazing moment. We have so many comments and questions that we
Yeah.
actually talked about today. So it's even amazing to see the parents' perspective about
Mm.
this. There will be more comments, there will be more questions that will be coming in today. So, again, for those of you who might have one or two questions concerning what we're talking about, there's an email address there. Write to us and let us know
Mm.
your concern. If your child has some certain behavior that you'll be struggling with, let us know your concern. Just put write to us, and we'll be able to make one or two suggestions that will help you in your dealings. Because we are all parents here, we have children, and we are raising them, and we are learning as we go. So that's what this platform is for. It's not for perfect people; it's for those who are working towards perfection. So we want to grow together, learn together. So if you have any contributions, you have any suggestions, please don't hesitate to leave it on the comment section below, because there are more people that will watch this video after tonight. Thank you all for listening, and I want to appreciate every one of you. I can see some comments coming in here. Antonio said, "Thank you so much for amazing time." Osarima said, "Discipline techniques can include rewarding good behavior, timeouts, withdraw privilege, look for the reason behind the bad behavior, talk with your children, avoid power struggle, and then be consistent." Thank you. That awesome, awesome contributions there by Osarime. Thank you very much. That's what we're trying to say. That's what we're trying to say. The subject of discipline is very huge, is large, very expanding, but we can't talk about it all today. So we just wanted to emphasize some major things or demystify the confusion between disciplining your children and punishing them. So we wanted to know uh, if we understand that, and we have explained some things about managing your children or helping them to do and act well in life. That's management, that's discipline, teaching them, educating them, and guiding them to do the right thing. And then, like you just said, is a technique for rewarding good behavior, timeout, withdraw discipline, privileges, sorry, and then look for reasons for behind the bad behavior. Look for reasons behind the bad behavior
Hmm.
and talk with your child,
Yeah.
which is awesome. Awesome. Now she says again, absolutely apology if you are wrong. Yes, that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
just apologize for everything.
Yes.
But apologize if you punish your child
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
are abusing that child.
Exactly. Yeah.
You need to apologize,
Exactly.
because that
Exactly.
one will come back on you big time as a parent.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
don't want to
Hmm.
do that. Even though that is how you were raised, don't do it to your children.
Hmm. Hmm.
Things have changed.
Hmm.
Have to educate yourself and know that those things were not properly done right.
Hmm.
So, those of you watching for the first time and you've stayed with us so far, I want to say thank you. Now, I want to say big thank you to you, Sister Janet, for being here, for helping us and talking to us.
Hmm.
Awesome, awesome. You have
Welcome.
stirred
Yeah.
up
Thank you.
a lot of thoughts
Thank
in
you.
us. And today, many
Yeah.
people are going to be
Thank
viewing
you.
this video, and then they will be able to look at it. So, wow, this is it.
Hmm.
Uh, they will also look at the argument aspect of it. Okay, at least
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
will look at
Yeah.
all of those argument aspect of
Yeah.
it. But again,
Yeah.
it's
Thank you.
entertaining, it's interactive. I want
Yeah.
to thank you for the
Yeah.
opportunity and everyone that
Thank
has
you.
been
Thank you for
here
having me.
and participating on the chat section. Thank you guys for your
Mm-hmm.
contributions, especially Sareme, Antonia, and Civic Coach. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
guys for participating.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing people.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you very
So,
much. Thank you.
Janet,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I
Thank
will
you.
let
Thank
you
you.
go now. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Have a beautiful evening.
And you too. And you too. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you very
Bye.
much. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
All right, everyone, you're welcome back here. So this is just between me and you guys. So first, you have been watching, and you have your own comment and suggestions you coming in. But if you do not agree with what we have shared, again, leave your comment on the comment section below. Listen, we are open to every disagreement and every misconception or wrong opinions, whatever. If you feel that our opinions and contributions are not right, leave it on the comment section below. What do you think about it? What she just said, do you agree? If you do not agree, leave it on the comment section below. If what I said you do not also agree with it, leave it on the comment section below. We encourage you to do that. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to end the stream now. We're going to be back again with another video, probably with another guest to discuss something about family. But until then, stay happy and stay blessed. Now, if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button and then hit the like button. Thank you guys. I'll see you again in another video. Until then, peace.